Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling something I think a lot of you listening will relate to. It's that feeling of being, well, completely swamped by content creation.
Oh, absolutely.
Trying to keep up with all the different platforms, that pressure to post constantly. It's relentless. Sometimes it just feels like you're throwing spaghetti at the wall, right?
It really does. It's a super common frustration. That demand for consistency everywhere online, it can feel like a treadmill you can't get off, especially when, time and resources are tight.
Exactly.
But the interesting thing is just churning out content constantly isn't always the best way to connect. Not really.
Right. So what if there was a smarter way, a more strategic approach, instead of trying to reinvent the wheel every single day? That's what we're diving into today. It's called the core to micro method, and the episode title really sums it up: Overwhelmed by Content Creation. This system changes everything.
That's it. It's all about getting way more mileage from your best ideas.
Okay, so break that down. Core to micro. What's the main principle?
Well, the core idea is pretty straightforward, actually. You start by creating one really significant, in-depth piece of content. That's your core. Something valuable that tackles a key need or question your audience has.
Okay, like a big guide or a deep research piece.
Exactly. Or a webinar, a long podcast, something substantial. Then, crucially, instead of just stopping there, you strategically pull out smaller, more digestible bits, the micro content,
Okay.
and you adapt those micro pieces specifically for different platforms.
So let's say I write this amazing comprehensive guide. I don't just post it and hope people find it.
Nope. You mine it for gold. You look for key insights, data points, interesting quotes, even whole sections, and you rework them. Maybe a quick tip for Twitter, an engaging graphic for Instagram, short video clip.
You could get a ton of stuff from one piece.
You really can. We're talking about potentially spinning off, 10, 20, even more pieces of platform-specific content from that single core piece. Some businesses doing this well report, like huge increases in output without needing tons more resources. It's efficient.
That sounds like a definite game changer.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's not just about saving time, though that's
Yeah.
huge.
Right.
When you start with that quality core, your main message stays consistent everywhere. People get the same vibe, the same key info, whether they see you on LinkedIn or Instagram.
Consistency. Okay.
And because you're adapting it thoughtfully for each platform, it lands better, it feels native, you get better engagement.
All right. I'm sold on the concept. Let's get into the nuts and bolts. How does this core to micro thing actually work in practice?
Okay, so think of it as a framework, really.
Yeah.
A system. First, like we said, create that cornerstone content, your core. Has to be valuable, has to dig deep on something your audience genuinely cares about.
Right.
Then comes the extraction part, and this is key. It's thoughtful extraction, not just copy-paste.
Yeah, because just dumping a huge blog post onto, say, Twitter is, well, it's not going to work, is it?
Exactly. That's a really common mistake. You see, the scatter approach, people trying to create totally unique stuff for every single platform. It leads to burnout and often kind of inconsistent messaging.
Or the opposite.
Or the copy-paste approach, yeah. Same generic message everywhere. Doesn't feel right on any platform, so engagement just tanks.
So core to micro is the middle path.
Precisely. It balances that message consistency with optimizing for each platform's unique environment. You get the best of both worlds.
Can you paint a picture, like a real-world example?
Sure. Let's imagine a B2B software company. Maybe they do a big quarterly research report on industry trends. That report, that's their core content.
Okay, meaty stuff.
Right. From that single report, they could pull out, say, 5 different blog posts, each focusing on a specific finding. Maybe 3 short LinkedIn videos with their analysts discussing key takeaways. Then maybe like a dozen social media graphics, infographics with stats, quote cards from the report. They could write an email series summarizing the main points for their subscribers. Maybe even host a webinar expanding on the research.
Wow, okay. All from one report.
All from that one initial piece.
Yeah.
It just maximizes the value and the reach enormously.
That really clarifies the potential. So if someone's listening now and thinking, okay, I get it, this sounds good, but where do I start? What's step one?
The absolute foundation before you even think about core content is identifying your content pillars.
Content pillars, okay, what are those exactly?
Think of them as the 3 to 5 big overarching themes that all your content will connect back to. They're the bridge between your brand's purpose, why you exist, and what your audience actually needs or wants.
So it's not just chasing random trends.
Definitely not. These pillars need to be consistent, deeply relevant to your audience's goals or problems, what some people call their job to be done.
Job to be done. I like that.
Yeah, and they need to align authentically with your brand values and your positioning. Each pillar should be broad enough that you can create lots of content around it over time, but specific enough to help you stand out and, ultimately, connect back to your business goals.
Okay, sounds important. How do you actually figure out what your pillars should be? Seems like it might take some soul searching.
It takes some strategic thinking, for
Sure.
sure. A good exercise is to start by listing out your core brand values.
Mhm.
What do you stand for? How are you different?
Right.
Then separately, really try to identify your audience's top 3 to 5 primary needs, challenges, or aspirations, their jobs to be done.
Okay, got the 2 lists.
Now, find the overlap. Where do your brand's strengths and values directly intersect with what your audience is trying to achieve? Those intersections, that's where your strongest content pillars lie.
Ah, the sweet spot.
Exactly. And once you find those intersections, you can frame them as clear pillar statements. A simple formula that works well is, we help your audience to accomplish a specific goal through your unique approach or perspective.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Let's say there's a niche cycling apparel brand. Their purpose might be making cycling more accessible and enjoyable. Their audience needs might include improving performance, making their gear last longer, and connecting with other cyclists.
Okay.
So their pillars could be something like performance optimization, helping cyclists get faster, stronger; gear longevity, helping them care for their expensive kit; and community connection, helping them find routes, groups, events. See how it links brand purpose and audience needs.
Yeah, that's really clear. Okay, so pillars are defined. Now, back to that core or cornerstone content. What makes a piece of content good cornerstone material?
Great question. It's got to have substance.
Yeah.
So think comprehensive. For articles, usually, 1,500 words plus. For video or audio, maybe 30 minutes or more.
Substantial. Got it.
It should ideally be evergreen, meaning it stays relevant for a good while, 6 months, a year, maybe even longer.
Yeah.
It absolutely must be value-focused, solving a real problem or answering a big question for your audience. And, of course, it needs to sound like you. Reflect your brand voice, your values, your unique angle on things.
And I guess you need to structure it smartly from the start if you plan to pull bits out later.
Ooh, absolutely critical. Think about structure for repurposing right from the beginning. Use clear headings and subheadings. They can almost become mini articles themselves.
Right.
Try to mix formats within the piece. Include data, stories, quotes, examples. These are easier to extract. Look for natural breakpoints where a section could logically stand alone.
Like chapters in a book.
Sort of, yeah.
Mm.
Pull out key sentences or stats that could work as standalone quotes for social media. Think visually any charts, graphs, or images you include. Could they be used separately? Writing in a kind of modular way really helps.
Modular writing.
Oh.
Okay, so pillars identified, amazing cornerstone content, created and structured well. Now the extraction. How do you actually start pulling out those micro pieces?
Okay, this is where you become a bit of a content surgeon. You go back through that cornerstone piece really methodically and identify every single potential bit that could stand on its own.
Every single bit.
Every potential bit.
Yeah.
A whole subsection, a key statistic, a really punchy quote, a compelling example, a visual element. You're basically mapping it all out.
Sounds like you could end up with a long list.
You definitely could, which is why the next step is creating a content inventory. A spreadsheet works great. List each element, note where it came from in the core piece, summarize its key message, and then brainstorm potential platforms where it might fit.
Okay, an inventory. That brings order to the chaos. But how do you prioritize? You might have like 50 potential micro pieces. You can't do them all at once.
Good point. Prioritization is key. You mainly look at 2 things. First, what's most relevant and valuable for your audience on specific platforms? What do they engage with there? Second, are there natural groupings? Can you bundle several related stats into an infographic? Or a few tips into a carousel post?
So you're looking for impact and efficiency.
Exactly. And you might also think about creating some medium-form content by combining a few related extracted pieces.
Can we walk through that B2B software example again, but focusing on the extraction?
Sure. So the core is the remote work research report. They identify a section on challenges. That becomes a blog post.
Right.
Within that section, there's a statistic, 70% feel disconnected. Boom, social media graphic.
Okay.
They interviewed an expert. Pull out a strong quote. Text post for LinkedIn, maybe an audiogram for Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
There's a case study in the report. Distill the key lessons into bullet points for an email or a short LinkedIn article. Maybe create a short video summarizing the top 3 findings from the whole report for YouTube.
It really spiders out, doesn't it?
It really does. One core piece feeds many different streams.
But crucially, you mentioned adaptation earlier. You can't just copy that formal report sentence and paste it into a tweet.
Absolutely not. That's the vital step. Adapting format and language. Effective repurposing means tailoring it. You need to respect the platform's culture, its format, its audience's expectations.
While staying true to your brand voice.
Exactly. It's a balancing act.
So what are the main things to consider when adapting?
Think about optimal length word count for text, duration for video. Visual requirements are huge, aspect ratios, image styles, tone is critical. LinkedIn is more professional than, say, TikTok.
Right.
What kind of call to action works best on that platform? And really lean into native formats. Use Reels on Instagram, Threads on Twitter, polls on LinkedIn if it makes sense.
Could you give a super quick rundown for, say, the main platforms, how adaptation might look?
Okay, super quick. Blog, longer form, informative, good visuals, maybe you download CTA. Instagram, visual first, concise captions, maybe link in bio CTA. LinkedIn, professional, insightful, maybe prompts, discussion, or connection CTAs. Email, personal, direct, clear, single CPA. YouTube, engaging video, often longer. Subscribe or watch next CTAs. Twitter, short, punchy, immediate, maybe share, reply CTAs.
That's super helpful. A mental checklist and maintaining that consistent brand voice across all these different tones and formats. How do you manage that?
It takes systems. Creating platform-specific templates can help pre-fill common phrases like intros or CTAs in your brand voice. A voice matrix can be useful too.
A voice matrix.
Yeah, basically a chart showing how your core brand voice attributes like authoritative or approachable translate into specific language choices on different platforms. Like authoritative on a blog might mean citing data, while on Twitter it might mean concise declarative statements.
Okay, that makes sense.
And just having a shared brand dictionary or glossary helps keep vocabulary consistent.
Right. So you've got all this fantastic adapted micro-content ready to go. You don't just dump it all online at once, right? Scheduling must be important.
Hugely important. Strategic scheduling maximizes impact. There are different ways to approach it.
Like what?
Well, there's the core first approach. You publish the big cornerstone piece, then drip out the micro-content over days or weeks, always pointing back to the core.
Okay, drive traffic back.
Then there's the teaser approach. You release intriguing micro-content first to build buzz before you launch the main core piece.
Build anticipation.
And the spaced repetition approach. You spread related micro-content out over a longer period, maybe hitting different segments or just reinforcing the message over time.
How do you keep track of all that?
A content calendar is non-negotiable. Whether it's a spreadsheet or a tool like Asana or Trello, you need to track publish date, platform, the specific content piece, which pillar it connects to, maybe the audience segment or related content links, and the CTA.
Got it. Detailed planning. And it's not just about individual posts in isolation, is it? How do they work together?
Right, that's cross-platform promotion. You actively link things. Like platform hopping. Mention your new blog post in an Instagram story with a swipe up.
Ah, connect the dots for people.
Yeah, or content stacking. Reference a related video in your email newsletter. Segment targeting. Make sure the right pieces are going to the platforms where specific audience groups hang out. And definitely have a re-promotion strategy.
Re-promotion.
Yeah, don't just post once. Reshare high-performing stuff later, maybe with a fresh angle or image. Get more value out of it.
This whole system feels incredibly powerful, but also like a lot to manage. How do you know if it's actually working? How do you track success?
Tracking is absolutely essential. It closes the loop. You need a system. First, define your key metrics for each platform and content type. Views, engagement, clicks, leads, conversions, whatever matters to you.
Okay, define success.
Establish baselines if you can. What's your typical performance now? Then, track individual micro-pieces, but also track the content family as a whole. How did all the pieces derived from one core piece perform collectively?
Ah, the whole ecosystem.
Exactly. And try to track audience movement if possible. Are people clicking from social to your blog? Are they signing up for the webinar after seeing the teaser video?
What questions should we ask when looking at the data?
Good ones are, which micropieces drove the most traffic back to the core? Which platforms gave the best engagement for this topic? Which formats worked best? Video, graphics, text. Which types of extractions, quotes, data, summaries resonated most? Did the adaptations we made for Platform X actually improve performance compared to Platform Y?
So getting really granular.
Yeah, and look for patterns across multiple content families. Are certain pillars performing better overall? Are certain platforms consistently your winners for repurposed content.
And it's not just numbers, right? Comments, feedback.
Absolutely vital. Qualitative feedback tells you the why behind the numbers. What did people say? What questions did they ask? That's gold.
So this tracking feeds back into the strategy.
It has to. It becomes a refinement loop. You review the data regularly, maybe quarterly. You optimize formats, tweak your extraction process, maybe prioritize certain platforms more, maybe even adjust your pillars based on what's clearly hitting home with your audience.
This is brilliant. It feels like a really structured way to escape that content hamster wheel. Any final advice for someone listening who feels that overwhelm and wants to start implementing this?
Yeah, definitely. The biggest advice is start small. Don't try to boil the ocean.
Right.
Maybe audit your existing content first. You already have a potential cornerstone piece hidden somewhere, a popular blog post you could expand, a presentation you gave.
Good idea. Leverage existing assets.
Then pick just one content pillar to focus on initially. Create or find one cornerstone piece for it. Map out the potential micro-content. Choose only 2 or 3 platforms to start with where your audience really is.
Keep it manageable.
Exactly. Make simple templates for those platforms. Adapt maybe your first 5 micro pieces. Create a simple 30-day schedule. Set up basic tracking. Just get the wheels turning.
Learn by doing.
Precisely. Focus on quality in those first few pieces. Learn from the process, look at the initial data, and then refine. It's about building the system gradually. Remember, the goal is making your best ideas work harder by meeting your audience where they are, in formats they like. It's a shift from feeling reactive and overwhelmed.
To being strategic and consistent.
Exactly. Strategic clarity and impactful consistency. That's the aim.
Fantastic. So just to recap for everyone listening, the core to micro method is about creating that strong central content piece, your cornerstone, and then strategically extracting and adapting smaller pieces for different platforms. It saves time, boosts output, keeps your message consistent, and engages your audience more effectively. It's working smarter.
It really is. It avoids those common pitfalls of the scatter approach or the lazy copy-paste. It's about maximizing value.
Well, if you are feeling that content creation pressure, maybe take those first small steps we outlined. See how this core and micro thinking can start to change things for you, and maybe, just maybe, leave you feeling a bit less overwhelmed. On that note, here's something to think about. How could implementing this kind of systematic approach fundamentally change not just your workflow, but the entire way you connect with your audience and amplify your message? Imagine moving from that feeling of being constantly behind to operating with real strategic clarity and consistency. Thanks for diving deep with us today.